All right. All right. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing today? All right. Thank you for joining us for the second week of Cats versus Cards. I'm your host, William Washington. You can find me on Twitter. I should have my Twitter down there is Willie Dubs. You can contact me at Willie Dubs. Listen, I want to thank you guys for the ones who tuned in the first week, as we try to start up a new venture. On to our second week. We're getting better. Things are getting better slowly but surely. You see, we have some music in the intro starting this off. But I just want to give you guys some thanks. I just want to say that I appreciate you guys, everybody giving feedback, and we solicit more feedback, how we can make the show better. I want to share with you as well this vision that we have for the show. The vision for the show is not to keep the same people that have been here last week and that are here this week. We want our audience to be interactive. We want, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to be a part of the discussion, you can request to be part of the show. Again, hit me up on Twitter, Willie Dubs, WILLEEDUBS, Willie Dubs, and I'll throw that up on the screen a little bit later. So you can contact me there if you want to be on the show on Twitter. Also, at some point, we will be taking phone calls, and you're able to call in, ask questions, and we'll talk about it, discuss it, debate it. And not only that, when we become live on YouTube and Facebook, I just saw, and for some reason it's still not active just yet, but when we become live on YouTube and Facebook, you guys can also bring in your chats, whatever questions that you have, whatever comments that you have, you can also comment there and be part of the discussion as well. So if you're not on the show, you can be a part that way. But we want you on the show. We want more people that can come on the show and battle these guys. You know, Cats versus Cars. That's what it's all about, and it's the only show on the internet that's like this. So without further ado, we're going to come up and we're going to bring our cast on, the same as we had last time. Give me 1 second as I try to figure this out as I'm navigating this system. I got one of my guys is telling me that I need a producer, and he's not wrong. So, but bear with me for a second. Here we are. Hey guys, so how you guys doing? So, as you can see on the screen, on the top left, Dietrich Sanford, all the way from Virginia. Say what's up, Dietrich.
What's up?
All right, all the way to the top right, we got PJ from Lexington. What's up, PJ?
What's good, everybody? Cats by 90.
Cats by 90. I like to hear that. Oh, by the way, some of the criticism was since I'm supposed to be the host, I got to be impartial. So I'm going to try to stay on the fence on this and not on one side or the other. Down to the bottom left, we have William Perry Henderson, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. Say what's up. Okay, he doesn't want to greet the people. Okay,
He's
you're
on mute,
you're
I
muted.
guess.
You're muted for some reason.
Can't spell
Perry.
pathetic without a U and a K.
Okay, he can't spell, guys. That's what we know. He can't spell. All right. And so the bottom right, we have the other Louisville fan. The guy, I know I'm supposed to be impartial, but is it ironic that a Louisville fan can't spell? Just wonder that. All right, so the bottom right, we have his brother. Let's see if he can spell. Richard Henderson, but he's in Simpsonville, Kentucky. Say what's up, Simpsonville.
Hey, what's up? We may not be able to spell, but we sure enough can count. And somebody needed some points last week. So, all right now.
All right. So this part of the show, guys, after we introduce everybody, this part of the show, we'll get started with our first topic, and discuss, what happened to Louisville against Murray.
What happened to us?
You guys
We
played
look like
well.
a Division I team playing
You
the
guys
FCS
played well,
team.
but what happened? What happened? It's okay. You guys, it looks like you guys had one bad half this whole season so far, and that was the first half against Georgia Tech. After that, second half, you guys turned it on against Georgia Tech, and it looks like that you kept doing it against Murray State. Does that give you guys hope for the rest of the season, or are you still like, let's see what Brown can do? Because I know
Won't get my
I
hopes
know
up till after next week.
the reddest of the reddest Cardinal fans. They're going to look at the Murray State game. They're going to look at the second half of the Georgia Tech game and say, "Yeah, we're ready. You know, we have Brom. We're ready. We're much better than we were with Satterfield." But what do you think about that, Richard? I'll go with Richard first.
Okay. Well, first off, we're not like Dallas Cowboy fans. We don't, have one win and all of a sudden we're going to the Super Bowl, baby. No, that's not Louisville fans. We leave that to the other team in the state in blue. But I honestly think that our true test to see how we're going to go the rest of the season is this game coming up this weekend against IU. The Murray State game was the Murray State game. I don't know if you can take really too much from the game. The offensive line, they did good. There was only really one sack, and that was on the quarterback. He scrambled and should have threw the ball away, but took that loss like a dummy. And then they may have one or two tackles for loss, but that play was I think that was the coaching mistake on that play calling. The defense did what they were supposed to do. There was one or two lapses there, but all in all, you hold a team to less than 160 some yards, 0 points on the scoreboard, FCS team like this. You did what you were supposed to do, and he was able to he took the starters out. I think it was like the defense starters he rotated in when Louisville had 14 points on the board and it was 14-0. But he took all the starters out like midway through the third quarter, and everybody on the team, all the quarterbacks, clipboard holders, people who were water boys that would walk on quarterbacks from previous coaching staffs, they got a chance to toss the ball. So when you have that opportunity to get your guys some reps, I think that game is pretty much what it is.
So you guys did get to put in your backup quarterback?
Oh, we put in every
seven
backup quarterback.
Seven different
Y'all played seven different quarterbacks?
Seven different quarterbacks. Eight. Well, I thought somebody said 9 at one point. But anyways, every one of them got a chance to do a possession up and down the field. That was spectacular. So to get everybody in and get some reps is great. I think this game was a great tune-up because next week I think we're going to play at Indiana. Yeah. And watching how Indiana manhandled Indiana State, I wouldn't say manhandle because their quarterback looks like they have the same kind of issues ours has, but nevertheless, they got some playmakers in the same spots we got. So this will be a good matchup, especially this same Indiana team, punched Ohio State in the mouth a little bit before they woke up. So this will be a good test.
I will say that you guys, I know you guys talk about us having a cupcake, and you guys just played a cupcake, but you guys, like you just said, did what you were supposed to do. Kentucky had some issues in just make me wonder about some things. But this year, it's even easier to see the issues, I think, than it was the issue years past. Because years past, you could say, we're missing this, we're missing this, but we still got to learn how to do, these few plays or whatnot, because we would try to run the ball when everybody in the stadium knew that we were running the ball. You knew the ball was going up the middle, and you could kind of make excuses. This team loses much more talent, and so to see them struggle against the cupcake is kind of like, what's going on? Even though it is the second week of the season, but Perry, I know you've been telling me how the quarterbacks behind your starter is more talented. Did that show against Murray State?
Yeah, I believe it.
I think with their arms and their accuracy, but you're looking at all of them played one series, and it was a lot of handoffs and then a pass or two.
Gotcha. So you really didn't get to see.
Yeah, not much. To me, it wasn't much.
Okay.
I
apologize, guys.
I
apologize, guys. We did not have highlights for you today just because the system hates it. I actually got a feeling the reason why we'll definitely have that fixed next week. And not just for U of L, for Kentucky as well. So you're going to see all of our ugly faces and no highlights. So I'm sorry about that. But go ahead, Richard. What was you saying?
I think Dolman, he may have had 2 series, but I thought Dolman looked like he commanded the offense better than Plummer. And his passes were sharper.
Gotcha.
They looked more dialed in. Now, once again, this is I'm getting off the bench and I got to prove myself. So that may have been that little bit of spark there. But I'd be curious to see that if he gets in another game, I think it'd be a quarterback controversy in Louisville before we get into the meat of our conference, because I thought he played a lot better. I think he played a lot better than Plummer. And Plummer still had those issues of his ball placement. He still had those issues. He's just, like I said, he's got Lynn Swan
an NFL
and John Stallworth.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, I think Plummer still had placement issues, but because he's got Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, and Tony Dungy, X, Y, and Z receivers, who can just you put your hands in the air and they come down with it. That's what making him look good.
I was thinking that you were saying I got Lynn Swan's son. I'm like, what's his name? Got you. PJ Dietrich, did you guys get to catch any of the game? First off, were you guys on national TV?
Yes.
Regional TV?
We were.
Okay.
ACC network, yeah.
ACC network?
Yeah. I mean, does it matter? Does it matter?
No, I was asking. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just asking,
I caught mostly just the playback of it. I was highlights, especially for the show and stuff like that. Did my due diligence. I mean, it was about what I expected. You know what I'm saying? Louisville came out. They, as you mentioned, they carried the momentum from the second half of their first game, and they took care of business. They handled business, did what they were supposed to do. That was really, I think all of the fans have the same thoughts. I think it's about the Plummer. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things where the receivers have the talent. The running back I like the running back. He's talented, but the quarterback it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how when the competition goes to another level, like you said, you mentioned they play IU. IU's predicted to go 3-9 in this season. Yeah. When they play IU, it's a test to see when it comes to, as he mentioned, as Rich has mentioned, Power 5 level, how he responds to it, right? How is he going to play against the Power 5 over in this part of the United States?
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see that as well. Because as Dietrich looks like he's getting pulled over, and I think he needs to concentrate on whatever he's doing.
Hey, keep the camera on, okay? Keep it on.
Let him know you're in a face that you're being streamed live.
Keep your hands visible, but keep the camera on.
Hey, listen, we'll go viral. We'll go viral.
In a minute, you better believe it.
Right.
But no, I saw the
American man was accosted while streaming Louisville UK facts.
No, I saw the tune-up game. I saw the tune-up game, and they did what they were supposed to do. Like you guys were saying last week, I will agree this week. Louisville was the more talented team on the field, obviously. Murray State they just couldn't do anything. So we knew that was going to happen. After about the third series, I said, well, I'll catch the highlights because Plummer looked like a pro quarterback out there against these high schoolers. And, but like PJ was saying, next week we'll see. Now we're going to see what, the Louisville team is about. Is this new coaching staff? How are they going to get them ready? Are they going to get them to compete at a high level against a pretty good team in Indiana? Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
Yeah, because it was it 56-0 is how you beat Murray State, like you should. So you can't take much from that game at all. So yeah, the test is going to be against Indiana, and I'm a guy, I like looking at the lines. If you're getting blown off the line, to me, you have no chance, or you have a slim chance. So I love to see how Louisville's lines improve. Because I know comparison to Kentucky. I know last year we heard, oh, they gotten better, and then they played against Kentucky. I didn't see any improvement, and we had especially a horrible offensive line. So I want to see what they do against Indiana. They're going outside the ACC and the Big Ten, just like the SEC is no more for some big linemen in Indiana. I don't know if they're supposed to be really good, but I know they're supposed to be respectable. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting just to see how Louisville faces,
I got to add something to that.
Against that.
You said you didn't.
I know
you
Terry
said you didn't
is
see
not
any
going to
improvement
agree with anything that
but
I just said.
Offensively, our offensive line did fairly good against your defensive line last year. You have to say that. Y'all didn't. We were able to run the ball almost at will. If you want to say that was all on the running backs, you can say it's all on them, but we were able to run the ball almost at will on your team.
Able to run the ball. He was able to run the ball.
And I'll add a little bit more context. Indiana is predicted to go 3-9 this year, so I don't know if they're really that good of a team.
But that's predictions.
Same record as Vandy.
Yeah, they are.
Same record as Vandy in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right.
3-9. They're supposed to go 3-9.
Short.
No excuses.
No. This brings up another question. Because we have been pounded on because Kentucky plays all cupcakes. We play the thing they didn't say cupcakes. They said mid-majors. You play mid-majors. You don't play any Power 5 conference teams except for Louisville. You play mid-majors. So does it make any difference? I'm not saying Kentucky played any really good mid-majors. I'm just saying we play mid-majors. So does it make any difference if you play good, respectable mid-majors versus some Power 5 schools that are trash? I'm just asking that
conference is not a mid-major conference. That's a low-major conference.
Let's just talk. Let's just speak to what it is.
I'm just asking hypothetically. I'm not saying Kentucky has faced some really tough mid-majors because I don't know what to make of Ball State. I've heard that they're supposed to be predicted to compete with the best in their conference. If they do or not, who knows? EKU, I've heard they're supposed to compete to be one of the best in their conference. If they're doing that, I don't know, but I don't think anybody is.
No, okay. Can I add some flavor to this?
Go ahead.
First, the best president in the world.
Let's just talk about EKU here for a second.
Add some flavor.
Remember, EKU had just swallowed a 66-point burger last week at Cincinnati. Okay, so and you all had this same squad on your home field.
Yes.
Okay, now for all of the bluster about UK plays in a tougher conference, UK has SEC level talent compared to Louisville. For all of that bluster, you all should. They were beating y'all like they stole something that first half. Okay, and in that second half, y'all still let them score on y'all. Now y'all really didn't take command and controlling command of that game until somewhere in the fourth quarter. Y'all have to be honest with yourself. That looked bad. I don't care how it's mid-major, low major, where it is. This is a team that you all were picked and the line said y'all were supposed to beat them clowns by 40 plus points, right?
So
35.
okay, but here's
35?
Here's the thing. I did not address. We're talking about two different subjects. I'm asking, does it matter if you play a really good mid-major versus a mediocre Power 5? That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Does it matter?
If you
That's
play,
all I'm asking.
The
That's
answer
all
is
I'm
no.
asking.
if you
Does it
play,
matter?
no. I can say
Because-
I disagree
no, I'm
because
just
if you
asking.
played Appalachia State is a very good mid-major school. They have come up and capped the heads on power schools such as Michigan. I mean, that was the biggest. So if you played Appalachia State and y'all barely won, or even if you lost, it wouldn't be this much kerfuffle. But
Okay.
y'all know y'all's fanboys are highly upset. I'm just going by y'all's people.
Okay.
Understanding that what y'all performance y'all put up against last week was not acceptable for a team such as Kentucky in the position that they're supposed to be in.
But
We'll get to
I
their
think-
lackluster
I
performance.
think everybody knows that. I think we addressed that in the beginning, and we'll get there. I am asking, does it matter? And the only
Yes.
reason I am
Yes,
is because
yes,
we had
yes.
somebody
Answer your question.
hammering home.
Yes.
It matters.
Yes.
It does.
Okay.
It
Well,
matters.
since I think I'm the only
It
one
does.
saying no, I say it doesn't matter. And when you're in a top conference, when you're in the SEC, what does it benefit you to put your record on the line against another Power 5 team? I mean, why not fill your entire out of conference record with Power 5 opponents? The reason
We didn't
is,
say that.
I'm just saying, if it's the same, if it really matters, then why not make it matter all four of your out of conference games? And I'm saying it does not matter because it does not help you with your goals. What are your goals for the season? Your goal is to compete and hopefully win your conference or division, right? That's a goal every season. It doesn't help you do that. Your goal is to get to a college football playoff. Even teams that know they're not in contention, it's still a goal. It doesn't help you do that when you're in a Power 5 conference, a major Power 5 conference, because when you win your conference, you're in the playoff. So you don't need this out of conference resume to build you. Now, who needs it? People that
Let me talk when he finishes. I want to
the people
piggyback
that
off
need
what
better, the people that need better out of conference competition are those who are going to be on the cusp. They want that resume building win to get them in contention. Now, for a team like Kentucky, if we win the SEC, we're in contention. We don't need out of conference competition to get into contention. We've got Alabama on our schedule already. We have Georgia already. We have Tennessee already. We win those games, we're in. Who cares if we didn't play Michigan State or somebody else in the out of conference?
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do.
And before I know we got rebuttals. Before we even get there, I got to hear PJ's take on this. Does it even matter if you're playing a really good mid-major or a crappy P5?
So I'll say this as a fan. I definitely this is where I do agree. I would like to see us play some other teams in non-conference. One, and this again, no shade. Just like y'all beat on us for a while in a span of time, we've been beating on Louisville for a span of time, right? Like I like to see something different. Add a little team, a different little something different in there, right? But as to what Dietrich is saying, though, whether people like it or not, it is true. Is that, and it's not just the SEC. I think even the Big Ten in some instances, right? Like the Big Ten's like that. And I ain't gonna lie, the ACC now this year, I feel like it's like that because they did a strong showing this year early on. But even going back to when y'all had when Lamar was going, to Florida State was on fire, right? When Clemson was on fire. At that time, when there were multiple teams, there was a lot of teams out there that was really solid, or even though they weren't the best team in the country, they were still respectable. If you would just take care of conference business, you would get in. The only team that could not just take care of conference business and needed some other play for real like that is the Pac. Everybody questions the Pac because the Pac is the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Big 12 a little lightweight because for a second there, but they did have a run there where they had Baylor, Texas, and all those teams balling out. But right now in the SEC and the Big Ten, for the last couple of years, I'm not talking about this year, just the last couple of years, right? If you just played your opponents and your in-conference opponents and and won all those games. Not saying Kentucky's going to win all games because I don't think we will ever do that. Win all those games, you would definitely be in the playoffs. There's no question that. There'll be no doubt by it. There'll be no scandal by it. It will be they done beat these teams who are this good in their conference, and they deserve to be in. So I think it matters to fans a little bit. I think every school, you're not going to find one school. You won't find one school who plays all their non-conference games against nothing but just Power 5 schools, the top teams. Right. Top teams or just other Power 5 teams. I don't know any other Power 5 teams.
So I got some examples because I got some examples.
I got an example.
Hold on.
Wait a minute. Perry done got Google on his side, so he. I haven't
Googled nothing. I have a memory. TCU last year didn't play anybody being there out of conference. They didn't even win their conference, and they went to the playoffs. Cincinnati, 2021, did not play. I think they might have played Notre Dame as the only team they played out of conference.
Yep.
And made it to the playoffs. A lot of it is perspective. And got embarrassed. But that don't matter because you said your goal is to win your conference and make the playoffs. Now, let's just be real. Some teams' goal is just to win 6 games. They need that out of conference. It's very important to them to get those 3 built-in wins so that they can at least make it to the postseason so they can get their shoe money, their scholarship money. So that's important to some teams in some major conferences is that they get them 3 wins.
Kentucky.
Get them 3 wins. And guess what? If they had their if they had their way, they would play 4 FCS opponents or 4 NAIA opponents.
Kentucky. We do play 4.
You can't play a bowl game. You can't play a bowl game with more than 1 FCS opponent on your schedule. So, I mean, just keeping it real, though, I got USC last year. They didn't play anybody. They didn't play an SEC team or a Big Ten team in their out-of-conference schedule. They lost 2 games. They had lost 1 game, and they were still in the playoffs. But then they lost another game at the very end of the season to Utah in their title game. If they had won their title game, their conference title, they're walking into the playoffs. So it is a lot of it has to do with perception. I get it. The SEC, y'all need those wins. You know, y'all gotta get y'all don't want to, you need those wins because you don't know what's gonna happen in the SEC. But as Lathan, I was telling Lathan and Dietrich earlier, a day of reckoning is coming. Stuff is rewriting itself. The ship is rewriting itself. And so pretty soon, SEC ain't gonna be the big dogs no more. As you can see this season, at this point, they ain't.
Okay, so it is killing me to be the host and try to be.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay, neutral. It is hard. It's hard right about now. So
I got just one.
Go ahead, Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Just in here. This is to rebuttal Dietrich's point about how it's not necessary for them to play the schedule they need if they're going to try to get a division title or a conference title. That's what you said. You all play that because that's not necessary for y'all because y'all have opportunity. Y'all trying to get that. But y'all been doing this strategy. Well, you saying it doesn't help you to play a harder schedule because if you're trying to obtain a division title or a conference title, you're saying that what Kentucky is doing is what they need to continue to do in order to do that. Well, y'all have been practicing this strategy now for the last 15 years, and I'm looking what division title, what conference title do you all have for your efforts? I'm looking. So, y'all haven't won one division or one conference title since y'all enacted that strategy.
Okay, so let me say this. I know he's way off because we haven't been doing it.
No, that's what he said, right? Am I missing something?
No, yeah, you are. You're missing a lot.
Here come the excuses.
We haven't been doing it for that long. Just to be
y'all been doing it since 2005.
I will say this.
Since Indiana beat y'all last.
I will say this. If I'm building a program, I'm not trying to do it against the toughest of the toughest opponents.
That's
week
what
in,
Howard
week out.
Snellenberger did.
That
You're right.
is
You're not doing
that is the dumbest thing ever to do. So if
and
we
Howard
argue about
Snellenberger did it, and
Kentucky's,
he's done more in his. He did more in his 8 seasons at U of L than Stoops has done.
for some reason,
He made a major BCS bowl.
Well,
He
man,
won
let him
conference
talk.
titles.
I still can't
Let
talk.
him
It's
talk.
dumb,
Let him
but it
get
works.
Let him get it.
I still can't
All
talk.
right,
Yeah,
ahead,
Howard
'cause I'm
Snellenberger.
still waiting
Howard
for
Snellenberger built the
including that, what y'all
program, but
do
they
is
was
right.
playing in the on the fairgrounds on
It
concrete.
don't matter where you play.
I played
It
on
matters
that.
the way.
No, it
Beating
matters.
y'all.
It matters
Don't
that
matter
he
where you
didn't.
play.
It matters that he had good teams, but he didn't build a program. That's my point.
Beating y'all.
Now, when
That's
you're trying to build a
Beating
program,
y'all.
when you're trying to build a program, you got to do more. You got to do more than just that.
He didn't
You
build a
have a
program.
few good teams. So when you're building a program and you're doing it year after year, it's dumb to try to do that against the toughest of the toughest opponents every single week. Because when you're developing players, you got to help develop their psyche as well as their skills, their physical skills.
What if you have no choice?
And when you have no success, you don't breed success. Success breeds success. That's the reason why you play
But what do y'all?
easier
Then
teams.
explain that.
That's the
Then
main
prove it,
reason why you
because-
play easier teams. All right,
Then prove
and
it, because y'all haven't gained anything.
also you keep from having injuries too. So when you do play the Georgias and the Alabamas and the other teams
I'm gonna
that are
call
on your
that-
schedule, see the thing is,
It's a welfare
the
schedule.
thing is, Louisville has fewer of those games than what Kentucky has. You know, that's the thing.
Okay.
So you guys are able to stick those in there. And also, let me also say this. It's a proven fact that if you're part of the SEC and you're part of the Big Ten,
Not
you don't really
always.
need those other outside conferences. You guys may need that, maybe a year here and there. You won't need it. The Pac-12, they would definitely need it if they were still in existence. The Big 12, they would, depending on how good those people are. But we know if you take care of business inside the conference, there are no questions like there are with those other two. So we don't
but
need
you all
those.
not taking care of
We're
business inside the
building our
conference either.
program, playing who we play. Hey, don't give me another one. We play against Louisville. Hey, that's good enough for me. We're trying to get some wins. We're trying to build our program.
Good enough for me.
All right.
Can I
Go
say?
ahead. Go
I want
ahead,
to say
Peter.
something though. Is that I think again, this is one of those situations when you're evaluating this. For me personally, you take the blinders off of it. I get if I was a Louisville fan, I would attack the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I would definitely attack the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you take the blinders off of it though, again, much to what we're saying, and I know it's not going to be respected because as you're saying, show me the success. And the thing is, it's still in progress. There's no surprise that we're not known as a football program. Not like that. We're not the basketball and the football programs as they are held together, of course, are totally opposite, right? We all can agree to that. You don't have to be a fan to know that. That's simple science. As you're trying to establish, as he said, establish and build a program, there are steps. Now, mind you, I'll say this, and I'll be completely honest. If we got to the point where we felt like we were consistently getting on to that, I'll say, I'm not gonna say Georgia, Alabama level because that's a whole other stratosphere. But the closest thing I can think of is Tennessee, even though they still get a lot of talent, right? I could see us scheduling, okay, we're gonna bump up another opponent from this opponent. I can see that. But right now, what we still are we're still building a culture. We're still grooming and developing guys.
Exactly.
We're still trying to get our name to that point in football, right? And we all can agree to that. It's not like, oh, UK's been here at the top. No, we just recently, Stoops has, look at it. Stoops is like the most winningest coach in our program.
Yeah.
Come on, that says it all by itself.
Yeah.
So
Since Bear Bryant.
while you're trying to establish this, again, when you talk about, and I'll say it, I don't care. Louisville is y'all was a good program. Y'all were rewriting, right? Y'all coming back into the fold after y'all went through that with that Appalachian State coach, right? Y'all coming back around, right? That was a good opponent to have on our schedule, rival or not. Y'all was a good opponent to have on our schedule, right? Including the fact that we were playing again. You cannot be dismissive. I don't care if SEC is in a down year or not. You cannot be dismissive of Alabama. Yeah, Alabama lost to Texas. Texas is going to play in the SEC next year. Okay, so what? Yeah, we still got to play Georgia. They're still good. We still got to play Tennessee. They're still good. Florida lost, right, to Florida State, right? They lost, but they still have talent. These are not teams where you just walk in and be like, okay, this is an easy dub. Where I feel like sometimes when I walk in, if I was y'all at least, walking in and playing sometimes, not all the times, Boston College, I'm like, okay, we're about to win this game. Let's go home.
Yeah. So let us move on just a little bit because we're 34 minutes in. Let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about the issues that we seen on Saturday with Kentucky. We go through. We have, like everybody says, cupcake team against Eastern Kentucky. And Cincinnati put up, I think, 66 points against them. Kentucky ends up winning it, but it was only 28-17. And as Richard said, that we only took control of it, if you want to call it that, in the fourth quarter, which is a real problem for me. This time, let me start with the Kentucky folks and let the lower folks sit out. I'm gonna mute you guys so you guys don't jump in.
Mute them.
Yeah, but go ahead, Dietrich. I'm gonna let you start this one off.
Okay, so that's why I'm wearing black. I haven't put on blue for a couple of shows because man, I'm very disappointed in our lackluster performance.
You are halfway in the frame.
I'm halfway in the frame. Let me recenter. And then I'm out. I'm in. I'm out. I'm out. I'm in.
Okay, guys, he just had a seizure or something.
How about now?
Yeah, you good.
How about now? Okay. All right. I'm back. Yeah. That's how disappointed I am in UK and their performance. I can't even get in frame. I can't even get my face in the screen. I don't even want to have my face next to the way they played. No, as much as I love the Cats, they just don't seem to know what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I see what they're trying to do, but they don't really have an identity. Like, they're trying to get Leary going. I know he had to relearn how to throw. I know he had surgery. Davis ran the ball pretty good. Receivers are always our receivers, to me, are always doing a good job right now. But just as like an overall mindset of what they were trying to do against this team, I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see the game plan or where they were trying to exploit the talent gaps between EKU and UK. And listen, EKU is by definition a cupcake. However, there is beef on the line for EKU. There is beef on that defensive and offensive line. They got good size for the caliber team that they are because they do have success at their level. So the fact that we had a double-digit win is still disappointing because we didn't do it with any authority. We didn't do it with any identity, and we didn't do it exploiting any type of talent.
I must have seen
You talking about your talent?
No, I gotta mute these Louisville fans.
Mute the Louisville fans.
Their faces is making me laugh. Go ahead, PJ. Go ahead and say your piece.
Nah, yeah. So
mute them.
I didn't get to. So I didn't get to watch the game live. So I watched the playback and watched it through. Right. And I echo again. Of course, they're very disappointing. To me, and I expressed this before. What I don't like is, or what makes me kind of weary of somebody, is I don't care if you're playing, bro. If I'm coaching against my brother, I'm gonna beat him by 70. I don't care. We'll talk about it at Thanksgiving. I'll love you every day to the end. But while we're on this field, I'm going to win. And as you mentioned, you're building that psyche, right? You're building that. And I felt like in some cases we were too vanilla, we were too lax, we were too it's just it's EKU. And I feel like Stoops didn't even have the fire. Like you can see him on the sideline. I feel like, to me, he didn't really carry like what he usually carries. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like there were times when we did start scoring, I feel like you could see the points were like, okay, we could, do something. But to me, I think people don't really understand even in football the heaviness of momentum. Yeah. Whether you're away or home. And it's hard to I'm just kicking and gear, I'm just turn it on down and play. It was disappointing. It was pathetic. I didn't hope I never see that display ever again. I don't care if we're playing EKU and he's playing his friend. I don't care. As a fan, they're not my friends while we're on this field. So I hope we never see that again. I hope next week we're playing against someone who hopefully is not his friend. Hopefully, again, they show something, because I think pieces are there. I think Leary is definitely getting in the rhythm. He seems to start slow but get better as the game goes on. I don't like that. He needs to figure out something. We need to figure out a way to kind of get him revved up, but also, no slack to my boys. Dane, he dropped the pass. I haven't seen that. I can't count on my finger how much I've seen it since he's been 7. You know what I'm saying? So like that was a shock to me.
When he dropped it, I said, "Oh, really? He dropped that?"
Right? Yeah. It's like, man, I ain't even seen that 5 times, and I've watched him since he was 7. So, I felt like it was awful. It was awful. And so, my hope is again we play next week. We got another tune-up game, as y'all say, and hopefully we come out there and we
need it.
We show something.
I'll tell you, it's like you just said. When you grow up playing football, and you're in the Pee Wee leagues, your friends are on the other teams, and what does coaches say? When you cross these lines and you get on this field, you're not friends.
Your friends.
You can talk about that afterwards. But while you on this field, you trying to go at him. And so for whatever reason, Stoops he misses that. And we know. And we know he does for a fact because we've heard before that, he has – and I'm not saying that this has happened against EKU because I did read on there that, this is his friend. He didn't want to blow him out. I don't know if that's the case for EKU, but we know in the past that he has taken it easy on opponents because he didn't want to blow out his friends or whatnot. He wanted to, quote-unquote, keep it classy, and I don't like that at all. I'll tell you, this is the first time that I actually looked at Stoops and it was side-eyed. It was like – what is going on here? Why does it take us so long to get in gear? I don't ever understand that with him. When you see all these other teams, you can make up all the excuses all you want, but you see all these other teams, what Perry called, they're in those preseason bowls. They're in the Chick-fil-A kickoff or whatever the big bowl is, first week of the season, and they're not having a lot of the issues that we're having. And so it makes you wonder, how do we prepare for these early games? What are we really looking at? How come we don't know detail? I know against our first opponent, Liam Cohen, both games we don't know what the game plan was, but the first opponent, Liam Cohen was doing a whole lot of stuff. And it's like, do we have that much of the offense in first game of the season? In college football, usually you really don't. So when you start doing all that, it's really like, okay, I'm gonna do a whole lot and really have no execution, as opposed to give me 5 or 6 plays and we getting ready to have a high level of execution. And a lot of times you blow people out. I tell people this all the time. When I played at Tulsa, when I transferred from Kentucky and I played at Tulsa, our coach was Charlie Stubbs. He came from Alabama. He told us, he said, we'll go in the first game with 12 plays. Those 12 plays, we're going to execute them like crazy. That's all we need. Now, our first game, we played against Alex Maroney and I forgot the other guy, but it was 2 Heisman candidate running backs. Both went to the league and picked really high, so we didn't do very good against them. But our offense was still humming. Our offense was still able to do stuff. So I don't get what Liam is trying to do. Is he trying to just put a lot of stuff on film just so other defensive coordinators don't know what to key in on? I'm just not understanding exactly what he's doing. And
that was my point. No identity.
Yeah, no identity at all.
Well,
one thing before the red jumps in. I don't buy this Stoops took it easy, because the Stoop take it easy would be like if we were up 24, 30 points in the first half, and then you can obviously see them rotating personnel to not continue the pressure. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Kentucky didn't really take control to the third quarter, to the end of the third quarter, really, before they really had the game in hand. And so I don't buy the taking care of his friend. I think this team doesn't know what it wants to be yet. I don't know if Cohen knows what he wants to do with this team yet. It seems like they're just tasting everything. They're on smorgasbord. They're in buffet mode. Let's just see how they respond to this, how they respond to that.
And I think that you're on point right there with the offense. I will say this, though. Let's be fair with the offense. I think it was at the end of the first half, their scoring drive. After that, or might have been at the beginning of the second half, they got their scoring drive. And after that, they didn't punt anymore. They scored each time they had the ball. So the offense got going. But to your point, it's like a buffet. He's trying to see what we're going to be, what we're going to do. Because I read a comment that said that we've been pass happy. We still need to be that balanced team. And in these first 2 games, we haven't been that balanced team. We've really been working in pass. And so it makes me wonder if he's like, okay, let's get the pass going. And the reports are that he actually did this in practice in fall camp, in one of the scrimmages. Let's get the pass going. We'll work on the running game later. And it's kind of like, maybe I know that the running game is there. The passing game is not where I need it to be. And we see where Devin Leary, the first game, I don't think that he ever came on. This second game, like I said, once we didn't punt, he was sharp. So maybe he's finally figured it out. Go ahead, guys. I know somebody wanted to jump in.
Well, I wanted to say something real quick, just a couple points. One, Dietrich, I don't know what game you were watching. You were talking about how their lines for EKU had a lot of beef and a lot of meat on them, and that just perplexed me, and I had to speak on that because I look at this as the same line once again that Cincinnati put 66 on. And so maybe Cincinnati is as good as Alabama or Texas. If you're telling me that this SEC team played the same team and thought that this team had competitive lines, that must mean Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield is a genius. I'm just, let me throw that out there, let a little nugget to think on for a little bit. Maybe you want to think about that. The other thing I was thinking about when y'all were talking about how Kentucky is playing down, or they have a hard time ramping up their enthusiasm and their momentum, using one of PJ's words there, momentum for the season. I go back into my history and I think about how U of L and UK used to play the season opener. That was the rivalry game. And there was a lot of pushback from Kentucky, how they didn't want to keep playing the season game because rumor mill had it that they just couldn't get their team up for the game. I don't know if they couldn't get them up because Kentucky was quote unquote disinterested, or maybe they couldn't get their regiment, their programming, their practices geared up, ready. And then they started pushing back to the third game, and they still complained about that. And now it's at the last game of the season. And so I start to think on this, maybe y'all have a point that it's a Kentucky culture where your teams are not really ready until conference starts. And so all of this here, I guess y'all just want to take these games up front and throw them out as outliers every year. Is that what you're saying? I mean, that might be the case.
Okay, go ahead. I was saying.
I don't think that that's the case. I think it has something to do with, number one, I think Mark Stoops goes into practice and he's preaching to his team to respect your opponent. But then in the back of his mind, I don't think he really does too much. I don't think that he comes in and say, hey, game one, this is the most important game of the season. We have to win it. We got to step on the next. We got to end this game early. I don't think he does it to that level. And I think he looks at the schedule and says, okay, we don't play quote-unquote tough opponent till week 4, so let's ease into this thing. I think that's what he does, because I recall there was a season where we played Florida, I think, second week of the season, and we actually played well. I think we lost that game, but we actually played really well, and it wasn't the usual Mark Stoops slow start. So I think it's like his approach to the season is what we're seeing. If that makes sense.
So I guess you would say I guess y'all wouldn't have any questions if they had lost to EKU, because you all with that thinking, oh, this is just, like I said, this is just how we are. But when it comes conference time, we'll be on point. So it should be no.
I think everybody would have problems.
Everyone would.
Yeah, everybody would.
I would say that one point I wanted to hit on was about the offense. I do agree. One, we still did a pretty decent job running the ball. I think Ray's good. Let me put that out there, first of all.
That's what I said.
No worries about him at all. None at all. I know he's good. So I can see us trying to really hone in on the pass make. That's been one of our, we had Will and Liam was a good marriage, and Wandale. That was a good marriage. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we went through last year. That was what it was. So I think the big key is trying to establish some stuff. I think film is also. I think they're trying to get some stuff to Berrien Brown. They got guys they need to get drafted too as well, and I feel like you got to put some stuff on film for them, early because you are going to play some tougher games. And yeah, you still have some good breakout games, but those games you do try to. Let's be real. You trying to beef it up. You trying to beef it up a little bit because you got guys that you need to get drafted because it's going to help you in recruiting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It is just is what it is. It don't help defensively. I don't think we have to sell defensively because we right now have a lot of defensive players that are in the NFL, and they're doing pretty decent. We don't have to sell it for real. We got some guys out there, man. We shake your head or not.
Y'all do, but I think y'all still need to sell it, period, because of who it is.
Let me say this: when we mention,
I'm not saying Alabama. I'm not saying Alabama like that, but we have. I think I posted it. We have I think it was 11th in most NFL players that are on rosters right now.
Actually, yeah, modern day, they did say that we're not high like top tier, but we're kind of up there.
Hold on, I just seen it. I just retweeted it. Just hold on, if I can find it for you.
I will say this about the NFL. I will say this because I went back and watched the Bengals versus Browns game. Zadarius Smith killed us. He killed us, man.
I saw Pascal putting a tattoo on somebody the other day.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. So we're out there. But, I mean, the system that they play in, that Stoops runs, it's an NFL-type system. I mean, the verbiage and everything, it ain't just the offense. Everybody knows it's pro-style offense, but the defense, what we do is, I'm not going to say is as complex as the NFL, but it's NFL light, so to speak. But that's where Brad White comes from. So,
well, and real quick about moving the games, right? Moving the games, it has nothing to do with a culture or we don't get up for it. It was about setting the narrative. You don't want your narrative defined in your first 4 games for your entire season. And that's what was happening with Florida, Louisville. You got a rivalry game and then a dominant Florida team within the first 4 games of your season. Sometimes the story is written before your team is really ready to make its biggest push. Mm-hmm. So that's what.
So what's the story for this year? What's the story?
Well, the story for this year. The story for this year is we got a new quarterback. We've got kids from the transfer portal. So we want to ramp up. We want to ramp up. And I agree with Lathan. I think Stoops has taken a kind of not an aggressive approach to developing the team early on.
I really do think that's what it is, though. I really do think the talent is there, and you can see the talent is there, and I think that is the most frustrating part to me because I see it.
So
and I'm just
who do y'all play this weekend?
Why aren't you performing? I believe it's Austin P.
Okay, so
It's not Austin P.
Who is it?
It might as well be
San Diego State. I don't know.
You wouldn't play 2 FCS teams in the same season.
Okay.
Who do they play? Who do they play?
It's Akron.
Yeah,
Akron.
You're right. It is Akron.
From the MAC. Okay.
Yep.
From the MAC.
Zips. So are y'all playing them at UK or up in Akron? Where y'all playing them at?
We're not going to Akron. Get out of here.
Okay. Once again,
I'm muting you because I got to call you out on this. This is the same person that asked me, "Are we playing EKU at EKU?" It's like, what in the world? I have never heard anybody.
No, y'all. See what I'm saying? I don't follow y'all like that. I'm not all up in your locker rooms. I'm not getting on these boards. Man, such and such text that he got this and he ran this and that, and they got this in class and all that. I'm not in your boards like that, dude.
Have you been to Richmond, Virginia?
Do you see this? This is Louisville. That's who I follow. I don't
just a gentle
fact. Well, we have your brother down on the bottom left of the screen. He's a Louisville fan, but he knows Kentucky better than I do.
Just a gentle fact check.
He spent 4 years on campus.
UK is number 22 with the amount of players in the NFL. U of L is UK is number 23. U of L is 29. UK has 7 more players on rosters than U of L at 17.
Hey, which tower did you use?
So I don't know what the part about the 11.
No, that was
looking at a Twitter post.
No, that was Twitter. I looked at mine wrong. I looked at it wrong.
Brett McMurphy. Y'all know Brett McMurphy.
I admit I was wrong. I was wrong on that. Looking at
how
I read it.
Brett
McMurphy,
despite he hates UK with a passion. Just let you know. He's
but it's
all
okay.
about
We
that.
still got more than a lot of people I see a lot of names missing on the list.
So despite the alternative facts from Big Blue Nation, the point
We don't fact check.
The point made is okay. So you all are going to go play Akron, or no? Akron's coming to you all. So this is 3 home games in a row. You know, no adversity. When
we getting our money up. We getting our money up. We selling out. We selling out the stadium and everything.
You know, y'all having these cookies. Y'all having these cupcakes delivered straight to your front door. So
$1 million cupcakes.
So clearly, I don't know if they got the spread out right now or if it's an early spread or what. But surely you all should be able to put.
Right, man. I think y'all gonna write the ship.
14, 21 points on this team, and y'all should be comfortable, right? He should be able to march out of the gate, get that first 2 scores, you know, and then if looking at the other team, be able to cycle in defense, cycle his starters off, off the starting field.
I got something to say.
Go ahead, PJ.
I mean, that's the way.
I would say
I'm just scared. I'm just concerned that's the way y'all should be concerned. That's the way y'all should expect, right?
Go ahead, PJ.
Yeah. So my favorite show is The Office, right? And so I find Rich very hilarious because it's like watching The Office. Because I'm like listening to it, I'm like,
Scott.
I'm listening, I'm like, huh? Because he set it up really nice. Hear me out though. He set it up really nice. He set it up really nice. Talking about some, no adversity. Y'all haven't played in the away game.
He's doing his Richard voice.
Y'all only played in the away game because it was a conference opponent. That's the only reason why y'all played in the away game.
We're going to wait a minute. We're going to Indiana. We are going to Indiana. No, we are playing at Indiana. I'm sorry.
It's a neutral site.
You don't follow Louisville. I don't follow UK.
It's a neutral site game. It's not an away game. It's a neutral site game.
Okay, I'm sorry. Lucas Oil is only what the difference between Lexington and Georgetown from Indiana. So
don't matter. It's not on Indiana's campus now.
Let me say this. Let me say this real quick. So, Lathan, I talked to you about it yesterday. This is my take on UK. I really feel like, and you remember what I said the other day. I really feel like you guys don't know how to take on an adversity, or you don't know how to prosper properly. It's like somebody that has never really had a lot of money, and then they get $1 million thrown at them. You guys got a lot of money with your talent right now, with your talent, especially when it comes to EKU and Akron, and I think it was Northern Illinois. You guys played the first game. Ball State.
It wasn't even Northern Illinois.
They stole a lot of players from Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois is their farm team. They keep pulling these guys. But I really feel like you guys are going to get it together. I mean, I think you guys are going to get it together. It's all about, your coaches they're trying to get them to the point where they're motivated with all of their opponents without the coaches having to motivate them. And so you have to understand prosperity, and you have to be ready to play. And I think that's what you guys are having a problem with, is they're having a problem getting up to play for these smaller teams. And they're having to understand that now you're UK, now you're a good team. You always had that chip on your shoulder about, every stadium you went into, even your own stadium, you always, even from your own fans. I'll never forget, hearing a UK football player, in an interview talk about how he went to the mall and he was buying something. He said he's going to watch the game. And the girl was like, UK sucks. Why would I? And this is at the Lexington Mall. So you guys are now beginning to understand notoriety. You got that. You've said it yourself before. You're now favored in a lot of games. You have to accept that and walk into that and accept that favorite status, and then start playing like a team that's favored, and start playing like a team that's used to winning. And a team that's used to not just winning, but winning well.
We're almost at an hour. Go ahead, PJ.
And I was going to say real quick, Indianapolis is an hour away from Bloomington, just so I just wanted to make sure it's not around the corner. Georgetown is 12 minutes away. Georgetown is 12 minutes away from Lexington.
Yeah,
not an hour.
So it's like Indiana coming to play. It's like Indiana coming to play UK in Louisville. It's like Indiana coming to play UK in the Louisville basketball stadium or the Louisville football stadium.
But let me say this.
It's going to be flooded with UK fans.
Let me say this.
It's an hour away. It's how far away from us? 2 hours away from us, but it's not on our campus and in our stadium.
Hour 50 minutes.
That's all we can say. 2 hours, 10 minutes.
The facts keep coming.
It depends on you. Lathan with that reverb. Anyway. But nevertheless, it's not in the stadium. They're not playing at L&N Cardinal Stadium. We haven't had 3 games back to back at home. I don't even think we've played 3 games at home in a long time to open the season, have we? I don't know, Perry. Maybe you want to check that, but when have we ever played 3 games at home to start the season?
Do you choose your conference games? Do you choose your conference games to be at home or not?
1 year, UK had 9 home games.
I'm gonna have to cut you guys off. I gotta mute everybody because, guys, we are almost at time. It's been more than an hour we've been at it. So I would like to comment before we go. I just want to comment on what Perry said at the end. And if you're a Louisville fan and you're still watching, I just want you guys to know that in years past, every time when you guys talk trash about us and put it on Twitter and you tagged one of our players, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because every time when you guys did that, every time when the media would pick against us and we would be a underdog and you guys would laugh at that, that brought me comfort. Because every time I seen that, I said, oh, Kentucky's going to be good, because that is what drove them. For the longest, that's what drove them. The headlines that would come through, the Louisville fans that would talk and tag the Kentucky players, that is what drove us. Because if you notice, every time when we're underdogs, Stoops has his team ready to play. When we're favorites, we act like we can't deal with it. For whatever reason, we can't act like that we can deal with it when we're favorites. The last time when we was favorites, we was thinking that we're going to have a 10-win season or something like that. It ended up being a very terrible season, yes. It ended up being, well, not a terrible season, but it wasn't as good of a season as we want it to be. All right, so I just wanted to say that as my outgoing monologue. But I do want to say this. We have Indiana coming up for Louisville at a neutral site. Everybody said it's a neutral site. And then we have Kentucky that's still at home against Akron. Can we get a prediction from a Louisville fans on the Louisville game against Indiana?
I'm going to call it
24-14.
What did you say, 24-14? Who is that? Can we put Perry Henderson on record?
Who? You said Louisville winning 24-14?
Somebody's going to win 24-14.
Somebody's going to win. Hey, Louisville
Someone
fans,
will win the game.
If this goes on Louisville's message board, notice he did not say Louisville would win 24-14.
We can stand prosperity. Right. We can stand.
I'm gonna tell y'all who he is on the Louisville board too.
14. They know who I am.
Go ahead.
They don't like me.
You said, let's say 24-14 what you said score was?
Yeah, that's what he said.
He said
24-14. I can't pick this one because, like I said, to me they look kind of even on paper. I think one of the little bag tricks in their bag is they play a lot of option, or it's what they played in the last 2 games, and that might trip up Louisville because Louisville last time they saw a team that played heavy option was Georgia Tech many years ago. But this could go either way. This could be a barn burner, or this could come down to a defensive stop. So I'm going to flip a coin here. If he says 24-14, I'm going to say Louisville 27-28, 1 point.
They run a lot of option. What was the scores the first 2 games? Not what was the score.
Well,
they score a lot.
They played Ohio State. And then they played Indiana State. Ohio State, of course, was 23-3. And then they beat the pants off of Indiana State, 44-3,
41-7. But to me, Indiana State is one of the worst FCS programs, and so
just like
I expected them to put 60.
Yeah.
So I expected them to put 60 on them, and they didn't. So that to me was a little alarming. And they looked like they were.
Louisville's a 10 point.
They did the same. Wait. Now I have to add this though. They did the same thing Louisville did. About midway through the third quarter, they were putting everybody in off the bench. Quarterbacks. I think they cycled 3 different quarterbacks the rest of the game. So it could have been.
So what is it? Louisville's a 10-point favorite?
Well, they're hovering around that 10.5 area where they are.
Okay.
That's a touchdown and a touchdown and 2. So, me personally, I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said, 20, maybe less than 3 or less is what I'm thinking. I think Louisville will win it. They'll pull it out because I think our coach is probably better. and he's gonna have a second half adjustment that's gonna click. And he's played Indiana before. That's our advantage, is the fact that he's come from the Big Ten, so he has that Big Ten mentality, knows how to play Indiana, knows what to expect. So
4-1
we new to him. So
I got a bone to pick with second half adjustments, but we'll save that for another one. So let's go ahead and move on to Kentucky versus Akron. We should be picked to win this by a million. I'm not for sure what the line is.
I think it's 24.5, 25 points.
25 points. Yeah, I figured it should be
24.
A big. So what do you think? Do we cover the spread, PJ?
I think this week we cover the spread.
Yeah.
I think there's some noise in the back channels. I think some noise there. I think they come out. I think look a little bit more, a little sharper. I agree with you. That I think Leary. We all know that he can pass the ball. I mean, not just to hear UK. We know he can pass. But like I feel like he towards the end of that game, you kind of start seeing like, okay, that's what I've been looking for. Yeah. But it's also, of course, it's a marriage. Our receivers got to do what they got to do too as well to help them with that. So I see us covering the spread though.
PJ be so technically correct. I'm telling you. All right, Dietrich, what do you think? Are we covering the spread?
Okay, yeah, we cover the spread. I do think they'll probably put 10 points on us. So I think it's more like a 35-10 game. Our defense, they got a lot of questions to answer in my book. They should be able to keep it at 0, but I just don't think they will. I think they'll get a 1 touchdown and 1 field goal. Whether that touchdown is from another mistake, like, I don't know, muffin punts, blocking punts, something like that, may happen. So, yeah, 35-10, Big Blue.
I'll tell you.
Maybe a delay of game for weather. So
we rarely
it's going okay.
Yeah, I'll be remiss to even mention that. Yeah, the reports are that he's doing fine. There are some people in the back channels that saying that it was a seizure while they were actually in coaches meeting. So, and of course,
so he was reviewing y'all's film.
He might have been. Hey, it would have made me throw up too. So but I'm glad they said that he's doing well. So take a break, let somebody else coach if they need to for at this time. And coach, we hope you well. We wish you well.
That's what happened with Skaggy last year. Coleman took a break from UK. Y'all got Skaggy.
But one thing I was going to say is with UK's defense, we rarely see a shutout, and when we do, I'm super excited about it. So I don't think that we'll see a shutout Saturday against Akron. We see Joe Moorhead coming into town. If you guys don't know who Joe Moorhead is, he used to be the offensive coordinator at Penn State, and then also at Mississippi State. Head coach. He runs the same type of offense that Dan Mullen runs. That gives UK a little bit of issue. So we'll see what we do against that, see how we adjust it or not. But I want to wrap this episode up.
Oh, so you don't think we cover? You don't think we cover?
I think we cover. I just don't think that we shut them out. I think we cover.
Interesting.
I think this is
Akron
where we
plays
see
Indiana.
I think this is where we see Kentucky started put things together. We start to see what the true Kentucky is because we haven't seen the true Kentucky yet. Offense or defense? Defense, I think, played much worse than offense did against EKU. And I think we'll start seeing, what we're going to be this game.
And this is the third game in. I don't think anybody's going to expect a shutout, no matter how good you are at this stage. This is 3 games in. They've made adjustments. They've tried to tweak their issues in the last 2 games. I don't think y'all are going to get a shutout. We wouldn't get a shutout. I wouldn't expect a shutout against Akron at this stage of the game. But yeah. So
hey, and next week I want to talk about our running back situation in UK because I'm like, where's our short yardage back? Where's our go get that 2 yards back? I know Davis can do it, but that's a conversation for another day.
We got all of that. We even got a Davis clone.
All right, so that is week 2 for the Cats versus Cards podcast. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in. If you've made it this far, send us a like, chat with us, respond, do whatever you can to become part of the conversation. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we want this to be a very interactive show. If you want to join the show and join the argument, go at a Kentucky fan. If you're a Louisville fan, want to go at a Kentucky fan, or if you're a Kentucky fan that want to go at a Louisville fan, just get in touch with me. Again, I'm on Twitter, Will E. Dubs. All right, you can catch me there. Until then, we'll see you next week, same time. Thanks, guys. Peace.